zone out.
Baby, you can't change my mind. It's just love that gets me high. And I know this for certain. Yeah. Suicide. You've been on my mind. Like all the time. So let me slide. Hey, I'm coming through. Yeah. With all the crew and all the brew and all the tree and all the tunes. We all got problems that we all wanna fix, but I wanna sit this color.
All right, welcome to episode 3 of Let's Talk About It. You know, we got Obi, Mello, and Lacey over here.
Hi.
Obi, what you got over there? What you eating?
Oh, no, I stopped in at my boy JL Smokehouse today.
JL.
Shout out, JL.
Ooh, shout out.
He got some real good fusion food. You know, it's a barbecue place naturally, but on Mondays from 11 to 3, he's starting to do this barbecue fusion thing where he can show off his chef and culinary skills. And got some jerk chicken with some cabbage and some black beans and rice.
Smells good.
A halfway eaten, what is it called? It's called a pulled Q Philly. It is amazing. Pulled pork with great barbecue sauce that he makes himself, and all sorts of peppers and onions and everything you want in a Philly. Pretty good.
What's good? One more time. What was the name of that place?
JL Smokehouse.
All right, you heard it first.
Shout out to my man
Shout
JL.
out.
Oh, where are they located?
They are located, there's 2 locations. I don't know where the north side one is, but the one I go to on the south side by my office is 16th and Broadway. It is on the better side of Tams. Oh, y'all might not like this. Don't go to Tams. Bad business.
Go to West Side Window.
Oh, I
By
love
us.
West Side Window. They're so nice to me.
By us.
Go to Lee Wins.
You might listen to them, but by us. That's how I feel. Business is better. Treat you real. I went to Tams on Friday, and the lady messed up my order. I ordered jalapeno wings, and she gave me regular wings, and she told me she wasn't gonna make me new ones. She was just gonna dip my wings in a jalapeno sauce, and I should be okay.
No.
So you're gonna refund me my money, and I'm gonna get up out of here and go give me some more food.
Oh, yes.
So JL Smokehouse, that's what we want to give a spotlight to today. Great, amazing food. Mondays is a special menu, but it's good every day. So check it out.
Definitely.
My man JL's from Arkansas, where I'm actually heading in the morning. So big, huge shout out to him.
All right.
We all live in Arkansas.
All right, and Lacey, what you got over there?
Oh, we're doing an East Spotlight. Oh, I want to give a shout out to Imperial Women and Imperial Men. They were so nice. They gave us some fragrances. My baby and I.
Yeah, I'm over here.
Yeah, so Imperial Gentlemen and Imperial Women. They were actually really good. And shout out to Essence Scents too. Essence Scents. He's pretty dope. He has natural oils, just different things. Scents, just everything. He makes black soap. I mean, he has everything. So, and that's really good for your skin if you don't know. So, yeah, shout out to him. They're really, really dope.
We gotta get this show going. My man Jay about to reach into the chicken.
I'm about to. You know, all right, so last week we talked about black businesses.
Yes.
You got
Black-owned businesses.
Got any words regarding that one before we kick in the next topic?
I'm so excited about the people that are surrounding this group and this team with the new adventures and endeavors that we're all going through individually, and then us as a team. You know, Lacey is finding new businesses, not because of the show, it's because she's great. I just got asked today to be a part of a Black Business Owners event in Chicago on August 23rd, which I'm really excited about. You know, Jay's doing mentoring now, which is really dope. He was really excited about that.
That's a big deal.
And my man Mello is about to go make a new hit record tonight. So I'm gonna go witness some of that.
Tonight, actually. New venture, new music coming too. That's
Stay tuned.
I'm
Stay
super
tuned.
excited about our team and where we're going. Also, on a sad note, I'm gonna be missing for a few weeks. Gotta go handle some business, but
He'll be all right. We will support him. He will be back on the show.
I will.
We will bring the show to
Or that.
If we have to.
On the road. But,
Yeah.
you know, this is a great team. We're going to stick together and support each other and keep pushing our families and businesses as a group and a team. So, on to the show.
Yes, we're
Let's
very
show.
excited. And happy Monday, too. I just want to give a shout out to everybody that watches the show. Shout out to you. You be doing a lot of different things. So I do appreciate everyone that is supporting us, everyone that's taking the time out to watch the show and share it and like it. Keep doing so. We really appreciate you guys.
Much love.
Shout out to my homegirl Nisha, because she hit me yesterday and she said, hey, what's going on with your vlog? I was like, well, I sent you episode 2. She's like, I haven't got another one since then. So she's, you know, shout out to her because she's on top of us to keep making great shows. And
Oh, shout out to my nephew. Shout out to my nephew. I really only have like 3 nephews, okay? So we have a lack of boys in the family. But shout out to my nephew. His name is Xavier January. He is 7 years old. He just turned 7 July 26th.
January boy.
January Boy is his artist name. So tune into his YouTube as well. Shout out to my sister Gabby. I'm really excited that she did that.
Shout out to his single.
But yes, shout out to his song Go Kart.
And his video.
He released that, you
Support my
know.
nephew.
He's 7 years old. You guys support my nephew.
Yeah.
7 years old, get it. Like we said last week, you know, support the children. Support the
Sorry,
children.
Go kart.
Go Kart. Do you wanna go kart with me too? That's his song, you guys. Check him out,
No
okay?
games.
Definitely. So, this week we're talking about something completely different. This one is a little,
It's a little
bit-
heavy.
It's a little heavy. It's deeper, but I
That
feel
is
like
something that should be talked about.
it is something we need to talk about since it's been happening for quite some time, and I feel like you don't hear anyone really go into detail about what's going on. So,
or they kind of tiptoe around it so that they don't say anything to offend anybody. I might just give you a disclaimer.
we will. Let's talk about it. So, like I said, we talk about it.
Let's talk
Yes,
about it.
let's talk about it.
We'll say the stuff that you can't say. That's what we do. So, I think we'll start with Mello today. What you got, Mello?
Mass shootings.
Oh my goodness. My heart.
Oh, right.
My heart.
I mean, it's so much going on as far as like mass shootings, whether it's schools, whether it's work, you know what I'm saying, whether it's the hood. So it's like, honestly, we got to talk about all aspects of it. I mean, I don't know too much to say about mass shootings. It's just crazy as it is. Every time you turn on the news, it's a new state or a new corporation. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody who's taking advantage of that, or got recently fired, or figured out something, or watching presidential candidates, or being, you know, pretty much, I guess.
Or what was that alert that we got? There was a shooting.
Oh yeah. So last night we actually got an alert after we was coming from one mall from shopping. There was actually an alert that we got on our phones that there was an active shooter currently at that time in the mall that was actually across town from us. So that's something big, even to be inside the mall and get this alert. Oh, immediately.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Shopping is over. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done for today.
They're selling bulletproof backpacks now. That's a thing.
The fact that
That's a whole
is-
thing.
Yeah.
the fact that that's even necessary kind of bugs me.
Yeah.
Like, we have to send our children to school with bulletproof backpacks. Like, what does that say about, you know? the
Coming from
environment?
Chicago, that's a double negative. That's like I gotta watch my back in the hood and at school. I thought school was like my safe spot. But so where do you guys think that is all stemming from?
Well, it's not, and I'm going to say this, and it is what it is. You know, it's kind of safer if you're African American or black to go to school because we don't have school shootings.
Also
And-
true.
and,
That's true.
I
Also
think,
true.
like, what bothers me about it is we've had 2 really huge, massive shootings in the United States, and the media, president, whoever may be that's not of African American descent,
Right.
is always, it's because of video games. It's always because he's mentally ill. Yet,
Well, in a way, the only thing I could possibly agree with is the the mentally ill part.
Well, I think, but again, what I'm saying is, that's not, then why is that not the case when it's a black man shooting one person, but because it's a white guy shooting 20, 30, injuring 40 people,
That's just,
you know,
that's just the way it's
we,
looked at.
we got a president that goes golfing.
So
After he
why
hears
is that
about-
not screened? Because when the babies, when you get signed up for school, you have to go for your vision test, your hearing test, your this and that. So why is there not a mental illness screening? Because school shootings have been around for forever.
Oh, you mean, why don't they use the school psychologist for kids that actually need it instead
Yeah, and do
of
a
kids that they
screening.
diagnosed wrongly?
Yeah,
to
and
get
do
money
a
off of?
screening beforehand to go ahead and not label, but to be aware of that person's mental illness or, you know,
Top behavior?
however, yeah, or taught behavior, which I do think that that's what's going on. Some may disagree, but why is that not something that is screened for in the beginning? Because it's just like, okay, now you send everyone, you got everybody in there, you know that they can see, you know that they can read, you know that they can do this, but you don't know that they're mentally ill and could possibly kill your kid and all the rest of the kids in the class.
I would be for, and again, it's just, parents are, and this has nothing to do with race, this is just parents in general are overprotective of their kids. You don't want to know if something is wrong with your child.
That is true.
You don't even, it's the most, because you want to feel like you'll feel guilty, but I think
I guess
the
I'm
better.
opposite, because the sooner you know, the sooner we can
Yeah,
correct whatever
but-
type of
true.
whatever
But,
is going on.
but you're looking at the masses outside of,
I
let's
get
say,
what you're
your
saying.
kids. But like, if it's your kid and somebody's coming to tell your son's mentally ill.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody
wants
wants
to
to
hear that. Nobody wants to hear that something's wrong with your kid. Like, as a parent, you don't want to hear someone say, "Guess what's wrong with your kid?" What? What's wrong with my kid? What you talking about?
But at the same time, you look at it like this: if you're a proactive parent, you will already see those signs and be able to catch them and curb them beforehand, before it gets to the public.
That is true.
But what if you're not really trained for that
It's
type? What
not-
if you don't
it's
have
not-
an eye for that?
It doesn't necessarily have to be trained. Sometimes we avoidancy, like we avoid noticing those things. Like we see them, we get the red flag, but it's like, that's my child. I can fix it. I can discipline. I can whoop the hell out of my child until it becomes.
Everybody is
But-
different. Everybody is different, because I am just like, the sooner we know, the sooner we can go ahead and find a compromise for this, or find a way around this, or find a way to help or something with this.
You already
You
know
don't
this
want
place.
to wait. You do not want to wait until it's too long, because that's like a crock pot. You leave it in there long enough, eventually it's gonna cook.
You
And
sound like my wife,
eventually,
who's a clinical psychologist.
yeah.
She won't whoop my son. She don't believe her dad even argue with her. You need to whoop him. She like,
It's
"No."
lack of discipline. Let's just call it what it is. Lack of discipline.
Yeah.
Even with great moms, great dads, great grandparents, I don't know if it's lack of discipline. It's like I said, it's that, I don't know the word to use for it, but it's that purposeful annoying, like you avoid what the truth is because it's your child.
Yes.
You try to, kind of turn the blind eye and be like, well, he'll get better, or
See,
she'll get better.
they need Mello as a dad, because at least that is one thing. That is one thing that I can say is, like, he's very good at calling things out right there on the spot, even with other people's children. Like when we have other people's children or mentoring or whatever, just other people's kids. Like, he's very good at, like, hold on, wait, what just happened? You just slapped your cousin because you know that, because you got to break it down right then and there instead of waiting. And I'm not, shout out to my white people and all of that, and I don't know if I can really say that, but it really is. I'm not really white, so but I don't. My people are more so like hailing from islands and black people. So, but it's really something I think within like their culture that they turn a blind eye to a lot of things. Not no self-discipline, but even stuff going inside their families and just different.
To be fair, we do too.
Yeah, but we also are not shooting up schools.
No, but we're
Getting in trouble other ways.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it and keep it
like
on.
I want to talk about it without talking about it.
No,
but
you gotta
it's like,
dig
we're here,
into
so let's
that.
talk about it.
like at the end of the day, we don't go shoot up Walmarts and schools, but we shoot up our neighborhoods that we
shoot up
complain
the
about.
bodega.
We shoot up our neighborhoods that we complain about don't get resources and don't get help.
Or hold it in, and now I think that's why mental illness or mental health is such a big deal. I think now, like, in our community now, because people are seeing like, okay, you're holding all of that stuff in, and now you're only damaging yourself, and now you're depressed, and now the suicide rate is rising, and now, you know what I mean? So,
but that goes back to what Mello said. You got to be proactive. You got to be a proactive parent because it starts at home.
yeah,
Because all these school shootings, or mass shootings, I should say, it starts at home. As a parent, you got to be able to notice it. Like, hey, what are you doing?
But it's different.
Why are you acting like this?
It's different for, and again, there's no way you talk about this without talking about the racial aspect, because when you look at how they treat a kid, a white kid that is mentally ill or that is having issues, the resources are endless.
yeah,
And even for the majority, they can afford
yeah.
the resources. For black kids, they're
Resources
one
built.
most of them are misdiagnosed because parents are in denial, and the people who take care of them don't really take care of them. They just do what it is. And I've seen this from working in schools and being a basketball coach, where it's I had a kid who had an IEP that the school district failed him to the point that they didn't let him know he wasn't on track to graduate on time. And he was a student athlete.
Yeah.
And because of his IEP, now, I don't know now if he's looking for a school, but I know through the summer when all his teammates and classmates graduated in May, he had to wait till August because the tracking things that we use and the information that they gave us was inaccurate because of, he's an athlete.
Yeah.
He's an IEP athlete, which means, we get more money the longer he's here.
Yeah.
The more classes he takes, the more funding we get. And I've seen this where schools, especially Title I schools, keep kids enrolled that haven't showed up, been truant for 30, 45 days.
And you got money.
Taxes.
To get money.
It's a credit.
To get money, to get their grade up in the state, to do those things.
Certain grants and
That's
loans,
selfish.
well, not loans, but certain grants and different things like that, you have to have a specific number of this type of child or this person with a learning disability or this person or whatever. So you have to have that certain amount of, whatever kind of student in order to get. And that's backwards in itself too. But then you also have parents who don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. You're trying to tell me my son is depressed or my daughter is depressed. I don't believe in that. I don't receive that.
And some of them may be right. Because what school district people fail to realize is you don't know what that child went through, especially African American kids, before they got to this building.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if they had to get their mother dressed because she was too high on drugs.
PTSD is real too.
Or she was too drunk to get dressed. How many little brothers or siblings they had to walk to school first, whether or not they ate that day, if they stayed up all night because mom and dad were fighting and they couldn't sleep. Like, we don't get to those things because the bottom line isn't taking care and educating these kids. It's making sure they're in the building so we get paid.
Yeah.
Make sure there's a button to see that way we get
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. And I've watched it happen, which is why I'm overly charged about starting my school more so, is because I'm tired of our kids feeling like they're unprepared for the next step.
For
They're not
life.
ready to take. That's what I mean. In
Yeah.
life and school,
Exactly.
they're afraid to go from being a child to an adult because those are when you fail, that's when you turn around and look at the block. That's when you go. Your desperation takes you to stealing and robbing and hurting people to get what you want.
Yeah.
When you have 4 siblings that are under 10 and you're 16 and your mom is out doing who knows what, you feel like the responsibility is on you. And
Yeah.
you go do what you got to do to make that happen. Because we're taught, get it by any means.
Yeah.
We took Malcolm X's word and put a whole nother thing to it. And that means whatever it takes. So 90% of the black males that are in jail, I would say 75. I won't say 90. That's a little high. 75 are people who were trying to do what they had to do to survive or provide for somebody else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they don't get breaks, but and they get beat up. And
Women
shot
too.
up.
Women too. There are women that are in jail right now too, just for either killing the person, killing their abuser, or trying to get out of a specific environment. I mean, even myself, coming from myself, I could have done a lot of like illegal stuff and been in jail to this day right now for just for my scenario and my coming from having a really great family to, okay, we don't have parents anymore, to let's figure it out. So it's a real thing, and you really don't know what that child is going through before they go to school. Even with my brother, like I would struggle with the school systems with them trying to tell me, oh, well, your brother has an IEP. He doesn't have an IEP. He just has an issue with other kids and getting into it, and then his anger and all that. So that's another thing too. Do not label a difficult kid with an IEP just because you don't know how to get on their level and talk to them. That's like, and parents out there, if your child has been diagnosed and all that and whatever else, just please double check on that to see, because my brother was like a genius. He's still very, very, very smart. It's just it was a lot for him, 10 years old, lose a mom, lose this, just a different way of life and all of that. You know what I mean? So just be there with your kids. Try to make sure that you're like actually on top of what's going on. Don't let the school label them something. They already have, especially if they're a black kid, they already got enough labels. So if your school labels them or whatever, just meet with those psychologists or their team board or whatever.
I could give you one if you need one. I got a really dope one in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. But shout out to her. But yes, like please be there with your kids. But okay, so you guys are all three wonderful black men. What is something that stopped you guys from, let's say, shooting up a school or being on the block? Or what is something that stopped you guys where you guys were just like, no, I'm not going to do it?
Before we answer, I'll let Jay answer that first, but kind of what you said. Understanding that your little brother went to school every day, knowing he was being raised by his sister, who now became mom. Like, that's something to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk to you as my sister because now you're the disciplinarian, now you're the provider. So
Yeah.
what you say goes, and it not only does it strain your relationship a little bit, as because it's like your dad being a basketball coach. There's going to be some strain there no matter what.
Yeah.
But to have your sister raise you and you have to go to school and all these people asking, well, why your parents ain't there? Why,
Yeah.
that stuff isn't mental illness. That stuff is, a difficult situation that you need intervention for. And I think people take counseling and intervention and being married to a psychologist, I know what she digresses from every day of dealing with people and mental illness and just depression or things like that. That's not every kid's thing, because myself, and then to your question, I'm going to go after Jay, but myself, having to deal with parents and substance abuse, and like you said, I didn't gangbang, I didn't go smoke weed to death or anything like that. I chose a different route, and we'll get to that. I want Jay to kind of answer your question, and Mello has some time now.
So
what stopped you from shooting up a school or being on the block?
That's a very simple answer. That, my mom, my mom, single mom, she raised me and my brother with everything she possibly could. I remember everything from my childhood. I remember when she worked at Hollywood Video. We were in, I think,
that just
Gilbert,
touched my heart.
in Gilbert, but my mom went to work every day. She found a way to get us a babysitter. Thank God blessed us, she got a job at American Express. And let me tell you, she worked her butt off. I'm not gonna cuss, but my mom worked her butt off to make sure that we had everything. She got us into the school. She, we had a white neon.
Good mom.
Yeah, white neon. I forgot the white neon. I think she named it Sally or something. But that little white neon got us to school every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And then, you know, also my mom said, you know, she taught us the value of $1. She taught us how to cook, how to do our laundry. She taught us everything she possibly could to set us up for the future. And she said, you know what, this is how I'm gonna raise you guys, because you guys don't need to do that stuff. I remember I got in trouble, and I'll put it out there. When I was younger, I was a little bad, and I don't know if y'all ever did it, but I took I took
Justin seems like he seems like he could be the mischievous type, but cover it up so that you won't think.
Let me tell you, I took money out of my mom's purse once.
Okay.
She called my dad. It took my dad 17 minutes to get to the house from Tempe, and they kicked my behind. And basically, after I got done crying and everything, they said, you don't need to do that. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Because
but that's a life lesson. You could get in jail.
It is, because it's like I said earlier, it starts at home. It's that stuff that they recognized that I was doing then that they said, let's go and take care of it now. That way we're not in court with you and you're facing charges.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you guys know, being and I don't want to go really racial into this, but being a black man is pretty tough. It's so tough.
You know, you're really nice. It ain't pretty tough. It's
difficult. Okay, so
like, to be where you are,
it's difficult.
Like I know I speak for us, but we're proud of you because we know how hard it is to get to this point. To have
get
a
here,
family.
it is tough because, and a lot of people do not notice it, but we face obstacles every single day.
Yeah.
And I can post on Facebook like, oh, I didn't get looked at for a job. Well, why didn't you? Well, you're of a different color. They're gonna look at you first, even though I'm clearly the better candidate.
Right.
They will still look at you first. I have to. It's something, and my dad taught me. We have to do it. We have to be. I don't want to say the best in the room, but we have to be the best in the room.
You gotta be better than the best.
We
What
have
do you mean
to.
the best? Well, you gotta be better than the best. And
We have to.
squeaky clean.
When even in high school, going to high school, nobody knew who I was until I started running track. When I started running track and I was doing some big things, oh, he can run fast. Let's be his friend. Let's do this. No, where were you guys at?
You was trying to start a chess club, right?
Chess club, but it's just something that, going back to what you said, it's all the values that my mom, me watching her do, that's what kept me from doing any of that.
Home training.
And because they actually showed me this one movie, I forgot the name of it, but it was something, and it scarred me for life about being in jail, and I was like, nah, that's not for me. I forgot if you guys know the name of it, please let me know. But
Scared Straight.
It wasn't. No.
Three strikes.
Look, let me tell you. And I can't remember the name of it, but all I remember it was a prison movie where. No, it was. Let me tell you, it was three brothers. Okay, they weren't like blood brothers, but they were three.
On the swim team?
On the swim team.
Was it the swim team?
Yeah, it's the swim team. It's locked down.
And the ball-headed dude?
Yeah, it's locked
Yeah,
down.
Chocolate guy?
Exactly.
Ball-headed guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't
I watched
remember the
too many
name of it.
movies.
I couldn't remember the name of it, but they showed me that when I was younger. I was like, yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me. No.
That makes sense.
It's,
Oh, that's fine.
So home training, because it wasn't that. Because I noticed, like while you were talking, you weren't really mentioning the absence of your mother working these jobs. You were more so like focused on the home training, and when she was around.
when she was around, she was, because my mom, and like I said, I love my mom to death. She worked long hours. She worked a lot of long hours, but it was that time when she came home, she'd let us know, hey, I'm still here for you guys. I'm not out here, running the streets. I'm working. I'm gonna make sure you guys have everything you need. She worked hard to get us into a college preparatory school. My mom was amazing. She still
Good
is.
job, Mom.
She's
Shout out,
in.
Mom.
You did good, Mom.
She's in Maryland right now.
Mama
and I
J,
miss
shout
her,
out.
but let me
Right.
tell you.
Yeah.
This night.
And then when she met my stepdad,
Your dad.
We don't do stuff. We just
I
talk
got
about it.
my dad and my okay, so my other dad. So because my dad is still
Your
alive.
bonus
So.
dad. You get two. God smiled on you. You got two.
So when and he taught me other things, that kept me out of it. He used to say, "Hey, 1 in 3 black men end up in jail. You don't want to be a statistic.
Yeah.
You do not want to be a statistic.
You do know so statistically, just on the other side.
You don't want to be on that wrong side.
Right.
Because if we're talking numbers, you want to be on the good side of numbers, to where they're looking at, all right, this person is this. You don't want to be on that bad side. So I mean, all my parents they taught me, you know, don't do this because this is where you will end up. They took us to jail so we could see what it was like. You know, and it's, you know, to answer your question, that's what it is. It starts at home. But granted, there's a lot of parents out there who's just don't.
You know what I noticed when you were talking to? It's just, and I just read this article. Remember, maybe I was just telling you about like child trauma and all that stuff. I read a lot of articles and study up on a lot of stuff, and I'm like always in these books. I'm like always trying to figure out. So with parenthood, memory loss. Did you guys know that memory loss is a sign of child trauma? So the fact that you could remember the neon, the white car, or her specific Hollywood video, you know what I mean? That's just good job, Mom. Because child memory loss, when kids are trying to reflect and remember their childhood or talk about it, if they have memory loss, usually that's a sign of child trauma.
Or if they don't, then you know,
doing drugs.
I mean, because my earliest childhood memory isn't a good one. And so, like, I mean...
Well, there's like multiple ways that people deal with it. Some people remember it and they remember it to the T and they can explain everything. Some people, that's me. That's me as well. I can explain everything, good or bad, to the T. Yeah. But there's also another coping mechanism, because all kids are different, where they totally block it out of their mind. Yeah. And they totally just don't remember anything at all.
They have to security.
Yeah.
I got you. I guess for me, honestly, it's my whole family, but with my whole family comes the church. And growing up in the church, I'm a PK through and through. I know everything about the church from every level, from the highest up, from the deacon board all the way down to sister, whoever that make the peach cobbler that's just fire. I know it all. So growing up in the church for me, I guess it really gave me a lot of knowledge on people. I met so many different people because we was always traveling, singing in different choirs and doing a lot of stuff on the road. I met so many different men who had a foundation, and it was just something that I really took to, because of course my father had been incarcerated like 25 years of my life, and I'm barely a couple years past that, and I'm like, what can I do? You know, what can I take from these men and actually invest it in myself? So every man that I shook hands, you know what I'm saying, coming from the church, still my foundation, but I would meet these different men, these different pastors, deacons, everybody who actually want to pour into me because they see, wow, you right. We like what you talk about as a young kid, but you know what I'm saying, I would definitely say it's a church for me. And singing in the church, if you need me to sing in your church, give me an invite. Give me an invite. I'm gonna come sing at your church.
So would you say?
Yeah, it's my foundation. From coming from the church or being raised in the church, I got a good sense of foundation and who I am, what my purpose was, and what my purpose is, and then of course I just made the right decisions according to. Now, I don't want to be out and about doing all that extra stuff. I'm inside with it, you feel me? I got money to make.
So for you, seeing both sides and how things can go and, you know, things like that, so just basically having that foundation in the church was enough for you to be like, okay, I'm not going to shoot up a school because...
It was more than enough, just because I've seen so many of my friends who literally are shoulder to shoulder, graduating middle school. When I come out here for the summertime, these guys getting peeled off the ground, or they sending me pictures of somebody that's RIP. I'm like, I was just in class with him like 2 months ago. So I know that you just called me and told me to come hang out at this same party. So I'm not gonna actually come to the party. For one, I ain't doing no house parties because I already know better. And then for two, you know what? Matter of fact, it's Wednesday, or it's Friday, or it's Sunday, or it's, you know, I'm at church practice right now. I'm in the choir 24/7. If I wasn't at church, then of course I was at all of my summer leagues. I flew all around the world to play basketball, like literally.
But he won't play me one-on-one.
He don't want to play me one-on-one, yeah. You feel me?
I have a really good shot. I have a really good shot. First of all, basketball, I have a really good shot. Shout out to my brothers, okay?
You might have to turn this
Check
off.
out, my brothers are really good at basketball.
Celebrity game coming soon.
Shout out E-Man, shout out Bobby, you know what I'm saying? Shout out ACU, shout out, who else we gonna shout out? Lincoln Town College?
Everyone. But I'm just that's really good too, because like while you were talking, I was just noticing. I like to look at people while they're talking, but I was just noticing that like for you, you could really tell.
She like me.
No, you could, I do like you. But you could tell that like for you that it was a for real thing. Like it was actually so for you having a foundation was something that kept you focused.
That's true. I mean, shoot, and honestly, losing my older sister to the game, that's something that as a young brother that looked up to your sister, and then to hear the news of how your sister, was actually killed, it straightened anybody out. Knowing across the way what that life is like, and somebody in your immediate family actually gets taken away from this world, it kind of straightens you up. So on the up and narrow, I've been for a long time. No drugs, no drinking, we ain't got time for none of that. If it's about money, like, call me. Yeah, that's it. But definitely church. I want to say praise God and amen. And all that.
So who for you, who in your family was like somebody that was like, okay, church it is? Or it was just like the whole family?
Between my mom and you know what, my Aunt Diane. My Aunt Diane.
Shouts.
Oh, you thought you was finna go? Oh, you thought you was finna go to the party? Ain't Diane to drive 2 hours to come pick you up from the house that you thought you was supposed to be at. Redirect you to the church so you can actually get there early. Oh,
you spent the night?
You gotta spend the whole weekend. Nah, you come on Thursday night. Miss school on Friday just to be at church on Sunday. Amen.
Well, you do it. Well, I can understand that.
Auntie.
Not Annie, not that Phoenix.
Hey man, I'm telling you.
Auntie.
That's good. Well, growing up in the church too, I could see that.
It definitely takes a village, and I'm lucky. I'm also blessed that my entire family ruled the church. We own. Shout out to oh man, how many churches I want to shout out to?
Shekinah Tabernacle.
Emmanuel
Church of God in Christ, which we just went to.
Shout out to Pilgrim Rest, of course. And then shout out to Baby Church in Chicago.
Oh, my church? Shout out to Faith Temple Church of God in Christ. I give you
we shout out church.
I bring you greetings from the late Pastor Bishop Moody.
That title just went.
If we shout out churches, let me go and shout out mine.
Yes.
Shout out Life Purpose Ministries.
Yeah.
Where they ask you how you living, and the answer is on purpose.
Yes.
Yes. And shout out to Abundant Life Church of God in Christ as well.
Since we doing that, my other dad's on my wife's side church is Equipment Empowerment Ministries in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So we give a shout out. He's one of the best pastors I've ever seen preach, and it ain't because I married his daughter. He cold. Like,
I got it.
And for me to say that, like for me not to fall asleep in church when you're speaking is a lot. So sorry, you gotta be honest.
That's big.
So he cold. So you want to check him out? Check out Equipment Empowered Ministries. He be on YouTube. He the Facebook pastor. He give out advice, everything. And he love his wife the way he teach me how to love mine by watching the way they 33 years Friday.
Aww,
You don't see that too often.
I've been sharing so much marriage and love down my timeline.
Hey, shout out to my uncle, Pastor Ezra McCallum. Believe it or not, everybody who love my music now, y'all get to hear this music because I was blessed out of being the lead singer in the choir to actually pursue R&B. So
and they're a beautiful couple because that's Aunt Diane's husband, right?
Yes.
They're a beautiful couple.
Yes.
They're beautiful. She has like green eyes or blue eyes. She's beautiful. Her spirit is they're wonderful. They're wonderful.
Lacey's gonna tell y'all everybody.
My church family.
Everybody
They're wonderful. So foundation would be another thing. And you know what? And no offense or anything like that to like, our Caucasian or European friends or family, but I have noticed too that that's not really something that's like a part of their schedule.
when we changed that, because I want to say mine's a little different, which is funny to me because of the perspective of him and the perspective, and mine is so different.
Yeah.
But yet we all are sitting here at this table together. But I think when we do transition, that part, cultural appropriateness and what people steal and try to, like you said, they don't schedule it, they just try to use our schedule.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a in a later discussion. But
everybody want to be one, but don't nobody want to be one.
So
oh, I like
about
what you did
you?
there.
For me, and it's a little cliche, and I'll break down the cliche, but the number one thing in the reality of it is basketball.
Yeah.
And there's people in there that I will, mention in this, but both my parents, my biological father and my mother were addicts. As me being a young person, I think I lived with 8 different family members before I was 12. My mom did eventually get clean, and people don't understand that just because a person goes to recovery and they stay in there, and she was learning how to be a parent. She was learning how to grow up, and at 12 and 13, I wasn't receptive to the years she missed.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about, kids forgetting and kids remembering.
Yeah.
I got in trouble at my wedding because my vows had the parts of love that I never understood how to love a woman.
Mm-hmm.
My earliest memory, and it's not a big, to me, I'm an open book, but my earliest memory is my mom on my birthday, and because it was my birthday, telling me and my brothers to go to the train tracks, and she'll come around the block and get us. She didn't want to argue with my auntie, but she had no intention on coming to get us. She was going to leave us at our auntie's house, who took care of us while she was in her disease. And I'll say this, my mom is one of my best friends today.
Yeah.
We have an amazing relationship.
Well, good job.
But it doesn't change how I got to where I am.
Yeah.
Because I would say my mom's a big part of why I'm not shooting things up.
Yeah.
Because when she did get clean, she became a substance abuse counselor. She told her story.
Good for her,
She lived in her truth, and she pushed me into peer programs. She pushed me into leadership programs, and it taught me how to speak out. It taught me how to, I write. I still haven't performed, but I write poetry to express myself.
So performing on Wednesday.
I won't be there.
You perform on Wednesday?
We'll take them.
But, and through basketball, let me not go there yet. My mom, when she got clean, met my father, not my biological father, but my father who took care of me. And it took a man to take in 3 halfway grown boys and take care of them. We had our ups and downs, we had our fights. Had an incident when I called him a bitch and ran down the stairs, but that's my dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's why, when people come in and they say stepfather, things like that, I don't put step there because it takes a man to step in and be a part of kids' life and not just be there.
Yeah.
But even in that, the biggest influence I had of why I didn't is because I didn't want to go through that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, it's the reason I've never smoked weed. There's a reason I didn't really take my first drink till I was an adult.
Yeah.
Basketball was a big part of it. And the reason,
that's like Mello. He doesn't drink either.
And the reason
Nobody at this table.
well, I drink now, but
I don't.
But the reason I held out so long is my mentor, his name's Reggie Brown. Give him a shout. He's an NBA sports agent. When he came to Loyola Park when I was a kid, he was the coolest grown man I ever met in my life. He had the cars, he had the girls, he had the money, the swag, but he also took time to work at a park district and mentor us and teach us and train us. And as an adult, I've had the privilege of going to all-star games and dunk contests and see Michael Jordan play in person and pickup games. And Antoine Walker gave me $500 one time just for getting his bag out the car. As a kid, my first plane ride, I went with Reggie to Florida. As an adult, talking to him and saying thank you to him, his response to me is why I am the way I am about kids and working so hard to mentor and being a part was, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that didn't listen, that ended up dead in jail,
Yeah.
life not going away. My best friend in 7th and 8th grade didn't listen, and he went to the south suburbs and wanted to be the top gangbanger for the Fourth Corner Hustler, and they killed him and shot him in the back of his head and left him in the middle of the street. His name is Joe Michael Clemens, and like that hurt me more than anything in the world because we did everything together, even failed 7th grade together. Like, we did everything together, and so like I haven't been perfect in this journey to not become that, but when I realized how good basketball was to me, I had to give it back to it. Like I always ask my players, what have you done for the game lately?
Yeah.
I make money and I make a career off of basketball. It pays my bills, it makes sure my kids are straight, it makes sure my wife can stay in Gucci and gold or whatever it is she likes. But part of it is because it gave so much to me. It's pushed me around the world. It's put me in relationships that are a lifetime. And it was because one person took time out every day to help me work on my jump shot, to help me slide my feet on defense, taught me how to use basketball as a tool and not a crutch